So what does it cost to live in Pennsylvania? Pennsylvania is known to be one of the most affordable states on the East Coast and potentially even one of the most affordable states all across the country. But with inflation, housing cost price increases, and so much more going on, is Pennsylvania still truly affordable? I actually made this same video but a year ago, but I'm remaking it because things have certainly changed. Stick to the end so you don't miss any of the new changes for the cost of livings in Pennsylvania. Hey there, I'm Corey Benhart, your Pennsylvania realtor. I specialize in helping people just like you move and find their perfect Pennsylvania home. All of my contact information is below. Let's get started. Pennsylvania is made up of so many different areas and so many different price points, but today we're gonna go over the entire state's average cost of living. Starting with the median price of a home according to Zillow, which is $243,859, and that's up 5.4% compared to last year. You might be shocked to hear that Pennsylvania only appreciated 5.4% over the last year if you're comparing it to some of the other states that you hear about on the news, such as Arizona, Florida, Texas, etc., which have appreciated anywhere from 15 to 40% year over year. But that's actually what makes Pennsylvania so special. We don't have the huge price fluctuations that other states have. Pennsylvania is a very strong, steady, and stable market. Depending on where you're moving from, this price may be significantly more affordable than where you're currently living, but keep in mind that this price is the entire state's average. So that encompasses such a wide area all throughout the state, all into one specific price. There are over 2,500 towns in Pennsylvania, and each town has its own different average price. So depending on where in Pennsylvania you'd like to live, what your budget is, and what type of home you'd like to live in, there's a great chance that you could find the perfect home that matches your criteria and budget. So taking a look at bestplaces.net, if the entire US average has a cost of living rating of 100, Pennsylvania would come in at 94.6, which is actually 2 points higher than when I did this video last year. But I'm pretty sure every state had a housing price and overall cost of living increase last year due to the very competitive housing market and just overall inflation. Taking a look at the cost of living heat map, we can see that Pennsylvania is one of the more affordable options compared to other states on the East Coast, such as New Jersey, New York, Delaware, Connecticut, etc. So now let's compare the gas prices in Pennsylvania compared to the rest of the country. You might be surprised to know that Pennsylvania has the second highest gas tax in the country behind California. On the bright side though, that does not mean that Pennsylvania has the second highest gas prices in the country. Even with the second highest gas tax, we're still considerably lower than most of the West Coast states. Taking a look, we can see that Pennsylvania is ranked as the 11th least affordable state for gas in the entire country, but it is known that the Pennsylvania Senate is working on reducing the gas tax. Comment below and let me know if your current state has higher or lower gas prices than here in Pennsylvania. Let's use bestplaces.net again and look at the cost of grocery prices in Pennsylvania and compare that to the national average. If the national average is rated at 100, Pennsylvania was rated at a cost of living rating of 100.3 for the grocery prices. So Pennsylvania is a little higher than the national average, and that surprises me because I would think that since most of Pennsylvania is farmland, our groceries cost of living would be below the national average, but apparently not. Pennsylvania has a wide variety of grocery stores all throughout the state, but what makes us special is that we have some of the largest Amish population in the entire country right here in Pennsylvania. So we also have some great Amish grocery markets as well. So now taking a look at the healthcare costs in Pennsylvania, we're rated at 101.1 compared to 100 for the national average. This rating is based on the average daily stay at a hospital, the average visit to a doctor and to dentist. This number may be skewed because they're also taking into account the very secluded neighborhoods and areas in Pennsylvania where you would have to drive, let's say 15, 20 miles to a local dentist, doctor, or hospital, compared to a place like Philadelphia where there is hospitals, doctors, dentists all over the city, and Philadelphia is actually known to have some of the best hospitals in the entire country. Next, we already touched on the housing cost, but here specifically on the housing ratings, we can see that Pennsylvania is rated at an 80.5 compared to the US average of 100, so significantly below the national average housing costs. Next are the taxes. Pennsylvania has a sales tax of 6% all throughout the state, except for two specific areas. An additional 1% tax is added in Allegheny County, and an additional 2% sales tax in Philadelphia. But other than those two, the entire state standard is 6%. It's actually pretty unique in Pennsylvania that we don't pay sales tax on everything. There are a couple of specific categories that we're about to go over that you don't pay any sales tax on, such as food that is not ready to eat right away when you buy it, most clothing, textbooks, computer services, pharmaceutical drugs, residential heating fuels for your house, such as oil, electricity, gas, coal, firewood, etc. And last but not least, candy is actually tax exempt as well here in Pennsylvania, which might seem a little weird, but that's because we have the very famous Hershey company located right here in Pennsylvania. So thank you, Hershey. So now when it comes to income tax, Pennsylvania is very desired for this because Pennsylvania is one of the few states that has a flat rate income tax at 3.07%, which means no matter how much you make, everyone is taxed at the same 3.07% income tax rate. Unlike other states where the more you make, the higher you get taxed. For example, let's compare that to our neighboring state of New Jersey. In order to pay an income tax in New Jersey that's in the 3%, you could not make anywhere over $40,000 a year. Next, let's talk about the utility costs in Pennsylvania. Bestplaces.net gives Pennsylvania a total rating of 98.2, which is just below the national score of 100. Looking at the transportation score, cost of living next, which is 104 compared to 100 for the national average. This one truly depends on where in Pennsylvania you end up living, because like we mentioned before, if you live in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, where there's no public transit or anything like that, and the only true way to get around is by car, then yes, of course, the cost of living for transportation is going to be a lot higher than a place like one of the two major cities, Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, that we have here, where anywhere in those two cities or the suburbs surrounding those cities will have a lot lower cost of living for transportation because you're not just reliant on a car. You could use Uber, trains, buses, etc. to get all around pretty much to just about anywhere that you would need to go. So depending on your affordability level, what do you think of the cost of living in Pennsylvania? If you're thinking about making the move, if you have any questions, or if you're ready to start the home buying process here in Pennsylvania, I would love to help you. All of my contact information is below, and I'll see you on the next one.